Okay, so today I'm doing a gluten-free pizza. So you can see right now I'm actually blending up dried chickpeas to make the flour. I'm using a Vitamix for this. You can just buy the chickpea flour, you don't need to do it this way. Also, it would be better ideally if you sprout the chickpeas first, then dry them, then blend them up. But that's just not something I did on this day. Okay, so you see I've got all the flour in the bowl. So now I'm adding in some seasonings. I add in some salt, some smoked paprika and thyme. And here I'm adding cactus and purple sea moss into my Vitamix. This I'm using more for nutrition. You don't need to use this if you don't want to. Although I do find the sea moss helps to gel it all together more, especially if this flour doesn't have gluten like the regular flour you would normally use for a pizza base. So I just add this into the bowl once it's blended with the water and just mix it up a little bit just so that my toddler doesn't spill it out everywhere. And then I actually go and get some onion powder because I realized I forgot to add that when I added the other seasonings. I do like onion powder in the base. I feel it tastes good. You don't have to add all these seasonings into the base. I just like to flavor it this way. You could use different seasonings or you could just add salt. It's really up to you how you want to do it. So there I've added some more water and now I'm going to mix it all up good. You want to mix it so that you have no lumps of flour in there. You don't want it so runny that it's gonna run off your pan when you put it in there, but it can be fairly runny. It's not gonna be super stiff like when you make a dough with regular flour. You can't normally get this mix so that you can knead it because again it's not a glutinous flour. I almost forgot also, I did add some oil to this. It was just about a tablespoon. So I put the mix to one side and I'm going to make the tomato sauce next. It's just like I always make it if you've seen my videos before. So I'm adding some tomatoes, some seasonings. You can use whichever seasonings you want, like salt, basil, oregano, thyme. It's up to you. I often add in smoked paprika. I'm using peppers. I normally prefer red peppers, but we'd bought a pack of mixed peppers this time because it's often cheaper. Okay, so I add in some red onion also. I think I'm adding in my seasonings at this point as well, some more seasonings. So now I'm just blending it all up. Oh, and we forgot to add the purple sea moss. Again, that's more for nutrition. You don't have to add that, but it does also help it be a thicker consistency so it's not too runny. So I do like it for that reason also. So yeah, here we're just blending it all up. You can see my toddler's helping me as always. Then I'm going to put it in this glass bowl and put it to one side, ready for when I'm ready. So now I'm going to put the base in the pans. I'm doing this two ways. I'm doing it in a cast iron skillet. You can see that here. And I'm also putting it on a sheet pan. You can obviously put on whatever you want. I've got a family of 6 to feed, so I'm making quite a lot. So, you know, like how I use 2 packs of chickpeas, you probably might only need to use 1. It just depends how much you're making this for. Or you could make up a load of mix and then leave it for the next day or the day after and just use it each day to make up fresh. Or you could even make a whole bunch and save it for different days like that. So yeah, you can see I'm just spreading it all over the sheet pan. Make sure that it's fairly flat. I don't take too much time to get it perfect. There's no point when I've got my toddler helping. But if you want to smooth it out so it looks more aesthetically pleasing, then you can. And I put that in the oven. So now I'm getting on with the cheese sauce, or creamy sauce, whatever you want to call it. I added my onions and tomatoes in there. I've just put in the sunflower seeds, added some smoked paprika and nutritional yeast. Then my toddler just put in the purple sea moss and adding the water in there. And don't forget to add some salt too. So that's all going in the bowl and being put to one side, ready for later. So now I'm going to get the base out the oven. You can see the base here. It looks a little bit rough, but it doesn't really matter. And then I'm adding the tomato sauce on top. I'm gonna then put this back in the oven to cook a little bit, because with the cheese sauce and the way it is, I'm doing the cheese this way, it can be quite wet. So I think it's better to dry the sauce out by cooking it a little bit first. So here you go, I'm gonna take it out the oven. You can see it's all steaming hot. Then I'm gonna now put the cheese sauce on it. I like to put it in little dollops all over and then spread it out a little bit, but so it doesn't cover it entirely, to make it a little bit more like when you have kind of a regular cheese on, something like mozzarella, I guess. So now we're adding on the toppings. I don't spend too much time to make the toppings look super pretty, because you can see I've got my toddler helping and putting things wherever he wants, and I also want to work fairly fast before he messes up too much. So use whichever toppings you want. I use whatever I have on the day. So here I've got tomatoes, onions, mushrooms, and habanero. You may see that we haven't put all of the toppings everywhere. That's because some of my kids are a little bit picky and don't want certain things on their part of the pizza. So here's the one in the cast iron skillet. I actually quite like how this one looks in a nice round regular pizza shape. So we're just getting all the toppings on there. And then I'll show you some pictures of when it comes out the oven. So you can see it here. Looks all nice and browned on top. And basically I put it in the oven for a little while, and then I put it on broil or grill if you're in the UK, just to get it nicely browned off on top. And this is actually one I made a different day. You see I didn't have mushrooms on this day. And this was from the day I made this on the video. You can see because it's got the mushrooms. And again, this was a different day. But I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see our upcoming videos, and leave me a comment if you have any questions at all about the video.